Welcome to True Crime Unleashed. How's everyone doing on this beautiful Sunday morning? Now, I wanted to get into something. This whole plea deal is still rubbing me the wrong way, but I have an intriguing question for everyone. Is Judge Hippler's courtroom a game of chance, or are there patterns in his rulings that can be exploited? I'm doing a deep dive of Judge Hippler's courtroom into a case study to expose potential inconsistencies and reveal the truth behind his decisions. I'm not just speculating, I'm presenting a real life case study to illustrate the questionable trends in Judge Hippler's rulings. Now, prepare to be surprised by the patterns I uncover in this eye opening analysis. Judge Hippler's rulings have been the subject of much debate, but are they truly fair? I'm dissecting his past cases with a fine-tooth comb, revealing surprising inconsistencies that raise concerns about the integrity of the judicial system. I'm going to get into his past cases in another video. And what I do want to get into is judge biases in other cases, not just Judge Hippler, but other judges who have biased in other cases. Now, what is judicial bias and how can it impact a legal case? Judicial bias refers to a situation where a judge's impartiality is compromised, potentially affecting the fairness of legal proceedings. The issue can undermine public confidence in the justice system and impact case outcomes. Ensuring judges remain unbiased is essential for maintaining trust in judicial decisions. Now, what have we seen out of Judge Hippler? Was he truly unbiased or was he pro prosecution? Because look at a lot of the defense documents that he just flat out rejected. Judicial bias can take several forms, each with distinct implications for legal proceedings. Personal biases arise when a judge has preconceived notions or personal interests that could influence their decision making, such as prior relationships with parties or financial interests in the company involved in the case. A notable example in is Caperton versus A.T. Massey Coal Company, where the Supreme Court ruled that a judge's failure to recuse himself due to financial contributions from a party violated due process. Institutional bias occurs when systemic factors such as political pressure or adherence to institutional norms influence a judge's decisions. This type of bias often operates subtly within the judicial system structure and culture. Implicit bias, which involves subconscious attitudes or stereotypes, can also affect a judge's decisions. Studies reveal that implicit biases may influence outcomes, particularly in cases involving race, gender, or socioeconomic status, underscoring the importance of ongoing education and training. Recusal is a procedural safeguard to ensure impartiality in legal proceedings. Standards for recusal are guided by federal and state laws and ethical codes, such as Canon 3C of the Code of Conduct for United States Judges, which states that a judge should recuse themselves in any proceeding where their impartiality may be reasonably questioned. This includes situations involving personal bias or financial interest. Landmark cases like Caperton versus A.T. Massey Coal Company, has shaped recusal guidelines, emphasizing that even the perception of compromised impartiality can be grounds for recusal. Judges are expected to self-disclose potential conflicts of interest, and parties may file a motion for recusal if warranted. Various jurisdictions have specific statutes and procedural rules governing recusal motions. Now, Judge Hippler didn't want this case from the outset, especially when he stated in the first meeting, "I would say nice to meet you, but I wouldn't want to tell the half truth." He didn't want the case of Bryan Kohberger, and I think he was downright elated that they came to him with a plea deal because it freed up his calendar. When a party suspects judicial bias, filing a motion for recusal is essential. The motion must articulate the grounds for recusal and be supported by factual evidence, such as affidavits or declarations outlining alleged bias. Referencing applicable legal standards strengthens the argument. The motion must be filed promptly to avoid the appearance of delay tactics. Courts have specific procedural rules dictating how and when recusal motions should be submitted. After filing, the opposing party can respond contesting the assertions. The judge then reviews the motion and decides whether to grant or deny recusal. If denied, the decision can sometimes be appealed to a higher court. Now, should Ann Taylor filed a recusal motion for Judge Hippler? Because clearly he didn't like her. He didn't like none of the defense team. He didn't like Bryan because of that comment he made. Oh, well, maybe he shouldn't have left his DNA at the scene. It seemed like at every turn he was shooting the defense down, but not the prosecution. Legal consequences for judicial bias. Judicial bias can be profound legal consequences impacting both the immediate case and broader legal principles. If a judge is found to have been biased, it can lead to the reversal of decisions, retrials, or dismissal of charges. For example, in Williams versus Pennsylvania, the U.S. Supreme Court ruled that a judge's prior involvement as a prosecutor in the same case constituted a conflict of interest, resulting in a reversal of the death penalty decision. Such outcomes highlight the critical role of impartiality in ensuring justice. Judicial bias may also lead to disciplinary actions against the judge involved, depending on the severity and nature of the bias. Consequences can range from formal reprimands to removal from the bench. The Judicial Conduct and Disability Act of 1980 provides a framework for addressing complaints against federal judges, allowing for investigations and potential sanctions. State judicial conduct commissions operate similarly to ensure accountability at the state level. What do you guys think? Do you guys think that maybe Judge Hippler should have recused himself early on in the case? I mean, since he acted like he didn't want it. Because he was shocked at the same time of the plea bargain or plea deal because he was looking forward to go to trial, or so he says. But it just seemed like ever since he got the Bryan Kohberger case, he had an inherent bias towards the defense and towards Bryan. And I know that Ann Taylor was trying to save Bryan's life. That's why this plea deal was concocted. But the plea deal just seemed rushed. To me, anyway. Should he have recused himself? That's my question to you as my subscribers. Should Judge Hippler have recused himself since he didn't want the actual case to begin with? You guys have a good Sunday. This is True Crime Unleashed. I'm out.